The message was meant for his ex-wife. A simple text about their daughter's medication. But when Ellie Chen, the notoriously ruthless CEO of Vertex Innovations, received that wrong number text from struggling single dad Jack Reynolds, neither of them could have predicted how their lives would intertwine. If you're wondering whether second chances exist in this world, this story might just give you the answer you're looking for. Like this video if you believe in fate, and subscribe for more heartwarming stories that remind us why connections matter. Jack Reynolds stared at his phone in disbelief. The text he'd sent 20 minutes ago, meant for his ex-wife Sarah about their daughter's asthma medication, had just received a reply from an unknown number. His stomach dropped as he read the message. "I believe you have the wrong number. But if your daughter needs medication, you should probably figure that out quickly instead of texting your ex." The response was curt, efficient, and oddly concerned all at once. Jack ran his hand through his disheveled hair, exhaustion weighing on him like a physical presence. Mia's medication had run out, and Sarah had changed her number again without telling him. It was just one more complication in the endless obstacle course of single parenthood. "I'm so sorry," he typed back. "My ex changed her number. Again. Not your problem. Have a good night." He didn't expect a response, but one came almost immediately. "Is your daughter all right?" Jack hesitated. Why would a stranger care? But something about the simple question broke through his carefully constructed walls. Maybe it was the 3 sleepless nights he'd had while Mia battled a cold that aggravated her asthma. Maybe it was the looming rent deadline or the stack of medical bills on his kitchen counter. Whatever it was, Jack found himself responding honestly, "She will be. I just need to get her prescription refilled, but her insurance card is with her mom, who's apparently unreachable." Again. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then reappeared. What medication does she need? Jack told the stranger about Mia's prescription, not expecting anything to come of it. He set his phone down and went to check on his sleeping 6-year-old daughter, tucking the blanket more securely around her small frame and listening to her breathing. It was still a bit wheezy, but better than yesterday. When he returned to the kitchen, his phone was ringing with an unknown number. "Hello?" he answered cautiously. "Is this Jack?" A woman's voice, clear and authoritative. "Yes, who's this?" "My name is Ellie Chen. You texted me by mistake earlier. I've called in a prescription for your daughter at the pharmacy on Maple and 5th. It'll be ready in 20 minutes. They have my card information." Jack nearly dropped the phone. What? You can't do that. I mean, thank you, but... I can and I did, she interrupted. I'm on the board at Memorial Hospital. It was a simple matter. Your daughter needs her medication. I can't accept this from a stranger, Jack protested, even as relief flooded through him. Then pay it forward someday, she replied simply. Good night, Jack. Before he could respond, she had hung up. Jack stood in his kitchen, phone still in hand, wondering what had just happened. Who was this woman? Why would she help a complete stranger? And how had she arranged a prescription so quickly? The next morning, after giving Mia her medication and seeing her breathing ease, Jack searched online for Ellie Chen. What he found made his jaw drop. Eleanor Chen, 34, CEO of Vertex Innovations, one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the country. The few photos available showed a striking woman with sharp eyes and an expression that business magazines described as intimidatingly focused. Articles called her the Ice Queen of Silicon Valley and ruthlessly efficient. None of this squared with the woman who had helped a stranger's sick child. Jack debated for hours before sending another text. My daughter is breathing much better today. I don't know how to thank you properly, Ms. Chen. I'd like to repay you for the medication. Her response came hours later. No repayment necessary. I'm glad she's feeling better. Jack stared at the message, feeling there was something more he should say. Before he could overthink it, he typed, "Can I at least buy you a coffee sometime? As thanks." This time, there was no immediate response. Jack put his phone away, assuming she'd ignored his presumptuous offer. Why would a CEO worth millions want coffee with a struggling graphic designer who couldn't even keep track of his ex-wife's phone number? 3 days later, as Jack was picking Mia up from school, his phone buzzed. "Coffee. Tomorrow. 2 p.m. Riverstone Cafe on Westbrook Avenue." Jack nearly tripped over his own feet. She'd said yes? He quickly typed back a confirmation before she could change her mind. That night, after Mia was asleep, Jack found himself doing something he hadn't done in years, worrying about what to wear. It wasn't a date, he reminded himself. Just coffee with a woman who had helped him out. A woman who happened to be one of the most powerful CEOs in the tech industry. No pressure. The Riverstone Cafe was upscale but comfortable, with large windows overlooking a small park. Jack arrived 15 minutes early, his palms sweating as he claimed a table near the back. At exactly 2 p.m., the door opened, and Ellie Chen walked in. She was taller than he expected, dressed in a simple but obviously expensive charcoal suit, her dark hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. She scanned the cafe with the efficiency of someone used to assessing rooms, and when her eyes landed on Jack, there was a flicker of something, surprise, perhaps, before her expression returned to neutral. "Jack," she said, extending her hand as she reached his table. "Nice to meet you properly." Her handshake was firm, her voice just as commanding in person as it had been over the phone. "Ms. Chen," he replied, suddenly feeling underdressed in his best button-down shirt and jeans. "Thank you for coming. And for everything else." "Ellie, please," she said, taking the seat across from him. "And it was nothing. How is your daughter?" "Mia," Jack said, a smile warming his face at the mention of his daughter. "She's much better. Back to her usual energetic self, thankfully." Something in Ellie's expression softened slightly. "Good. Children should be energetic." A server approached, and Ellie ordered a black coffee without looking at the menu. Jack asked for the same, plus a chocolate chip cookie that he had no intention of eating but ordered out of nervousness. "So," Ellie said once the server had left, "you're a single father." It wasn't a question, but Jack nodded anyway. "For almost 3 years now." Mia's mom, well, she decided family life wasn't for her. That must be difficult. Jack shrugged, uncomfortable with sympathy. "We manage. I work from home as a graphic designer, so I can be there for Mia. It's tight sometimes, but we're okay." Ellie studied him with an intensity that made Jack feel like she was reading his life story in the lines of his face. "And her mother is still in the picture?" "Technically. She has visitation rights, but—" Jack trailed off, not wanting to badmouth Sarah to a stranger. "Let's just say her schedule is unpredictable." Ellie nodded, accepting his diplomatic answer. Their coffees arrived, and Jack was grateful for something to do with his hands. "And you?" he asked, surprising himself with his boldness. "The articles I found online didn't mention much about your personal life." A slight smile curved Ellie's lips. "That's by design. I prefer to keep my private life private." "Sorry, I didn't mean to pry," Jack backpedaled. "You didn't," she assured him. "And to answer your unasked question, no, I don't have children. My company is my baby, as cliché as that sounds." Jack nodded, trying to reconcile this composed, articulate woman with the "Ice Queen" the business press described. "Can I ask why you helped us?" "You didn't have to do that." Ellie took a sip of her coffee before answering. "My younger brother had severe asthma as a child. I remember the panic when he couldn't breathe properly." Something flickered in her eyes, a vulnerability quickly masked. No child should struggle to breathe because of administrative issues. Jack felt a surge of connection to this woman he barely knew. Well, Mia and I are very grateful. I don't know what we would have done. You would have figured something out, Ellie said with certainty. You seem like the type who always does. Their conversation flowed more easily after that. Jack learned that Ellie had built her company from the ground up after leaving a toxic corporate environment. She asked intelligent questions about his design work, showing genuine interest when he explained his freelance projects. Neither mentioned meeting again, but when they parted ways an hour later, Jack felt a strange reluctance to see her go. Thank you again, he said as they stood outside the cafe. For the medication or the coffee? Ellie asked, a hint of amusement in her eyes. Both. And for taking time out of what must be an incredibly busy schedule. Ellie looked at him for a long moment. It was a pleasant break from my usual meetings. She extended her hand again. Goodbye, Jack. He watched her walk to a sleek black car where a driver waited, feeling like he'd just experienced something significant but not quite understanding what. 2 weeks passed. Jack thought about texting Ellie several times but always talked himself out of it. What would he say? Thanks again for the coffee? Want to see pictures of my kid? He didn't want to impose on her kindness. Then, on a rainy Tuesday afternoon, his phone buzzed with a text from her number. How is Mia doing? Jack smiled, surprised and pleased by the simple question. She's great. Currently building a fort in the living room that's taking up most of the available floor space. Sounds like a creative child. She is. Takes after her dad that way, Jack replied, then added, how are you? Busy. Board meeting ran late. Now I'm stuck in traffic wondering why I live in this city. The casual nature of her response encouraged him. The fort building business is booming if you're looking for a career change. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then, I'll keep that in mind for my next 5-year plan. Jack laughed out loud, startling Mia who looked up from her elaborate construction of blankets and couch cushions. Who are you talking to, Daddy? She asked. A friend, Jack replied, surprising himself with how right that felt. Over the next month, Jack and Ellie developed an unexpected friendship through text messages. She sent brief updates about her day, he shared funny things Mia said or did. Sometimes they discussed books or movies, discovering a shared love of old noir films. Jack found himself looking forward to her messages, which often came late at night when she was still working. One evening, as Jack was cleaning up after dinner, his phone rang with Ellie's number. Hello? He answered, wiping his hands on a dish towel. Jack. Her voice sounded different, tighter, more controlled than usual. I apologize for calling without warning. No problem. Is everything okay? There was a pause. Not really. I had a particularly difficult day, and She trailed off. And you what? Jack prompted gently. I wanted to hear a friendly voice, she admitted, the words sounding like they'd been pulled from her reluctantly. Something warm unfurled in Jack's chest. Well, you've got one. Want to talk about your difficult day? Not particularly. Another pause. Tell me about yours instead. So Jack did. He told her about Mia's art project at school, about the client who had finally paid an overdue invoice, about the squirrel that had somehow gotten onto their balcony and terrified their elderly neighbor's cat. As he spoke, he could hear Ellie's breathing become more relaxed. Thank you, she said when he finished. That was exactly what I needed. Anytime, Jack replied, meaning it. That's what friends are for. Friends, Ellie repeated, as if testing the word. Yes, I suppose we are. After they hung up, Jack stood in his kitchen, wondering when exactly the formidable CEO had become important to him. And wondering, with a mixture of hope and trepidation, if he might be important to her too. The following Saturday, Jack took Mia to the Children's Museum. As they explored the interactive exhibits, his phone buzzed with a text from Ellie. Are you free for dinner tonight? Jack's heart skipped. "I'd need to find a sitter for Mia," he replied. "Bring her," came Ellie's immediate response. "I'd like to meet her. If that's okay with you." Jack stared at his phone, surprised by the request. "Are you sure? She's 6 and has strong opinions about everything from dinosaurs to dessert." "I can handle strong opinions. I deal with board members regularly." Jack laughed. "Fair point. Where and when?" Ellie suggested a family-friendly Italian restaurant at 6 p.m. As Jack helped Mia get ready that evening, he found himself unusually nervous. "Who are we meeting, Daddy?" Mia asked as he brushed her dark hair, so similar to his own. "Her name is Ellie. She's the one who helped us get your medicine when you were sick." Mia's eyes widened. "Is she a doctor?" "No, she runs a big company. But she's very nice." Jack hesitated, then added, "She's become a good friend." Mia nodded solemnly. "Like Ms. Parker is your friend?" Jack thought of his elderly neighbor who sometimes watched Mia in emergencies. "No, a different kind of friend." "Like a girlfriend?" Mia asked innocently. Jack nearly dropped the hairbrush. "No, not a girlfriend. Just a friend who happens to be a woman." Mia looked skeptical but accepted his explanation. When they arrived at the restaurant, Ellie was already seated at a corner table. She wore dark jeans and a simple blue blouse, the most casual Jack had ever seen her. She stood as they approached, her eyes moving from Jack to Mia with an expression he couldn't quite read. "Hello, Jack," she said, then crouched down to Mia's level. "And you must be Mia." "I'm Ellie. It's very nice to meet you." Mia, usually shy with strangers, studied Ellie intently before declaring, "You're pretty." A genuine smile transformed Ellie's face. "Thank you. I think you're pretty too. I like your dinosaur shirt." Mia beamed. "Triceratops is my favorite. Daddy says they're herbivores but they could still defend themselves with their horns." "Smart and strong," Ellie nodded. "Excellent choice." Just like that, Ellie had won Mia over. Throughout dinner, Jack watched in amazement as the CEO who reportedly made grown men cry in boardrooms patiently answered Mia's endless questions and listened to her stories with genuine interest. When Mia spilled her water, Ellie calmly helped clean it up without a hint of annoyance. And when the child grew tired and cranky toward the end of the meal, Ellie produced a small sketchbook and colored pencils from her purse, explaining that she sometimes doodled during long meetings. "You're good with her," Jack said quietly while Mia was absorbed in drawing. Ellie looked surprised by the compliment. "Children are straightforward. They tell you what they want and need. It's refreshing after dealing with adults who have hidden agendas." Still, not everyone would be so patient. Ellie's eyes met his. "She's important to you. That makes her important to me." The simple statement hit Jack with unexpected force. When was the last time someone had cared about what was important to him? As they were leaving the restaurant, Mia sleepily asked Ellie, "Will you come see my fort sometime? I made it bigger." Ellie glanced at Jack, silently asking permission. When he nodded, she smiled at Mia. "I'd like that very much." In the car on the way home, Mia mumbled from the back seat, "I like your friend, Daddy." Jack caught her eyes in the rearview mirror. "Me too, sweetheart." The next morning, Jack sent Ellie a text. "Mia hasn't stopped talking about you. Thank you for being so kind to her." "She's a wonderful child," Ellie replied. "You're doing an excellent job with her." The simple validation meant more to Jack than he could express. Parenting alone was often a thankless task, filled with second-guessing and worry. Having someone recognize his efforts touched him deeply. About Mia's invitation.